Hello there, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. It's Adderson here with another all-out ADDSAULT, the show where we go all out against things we don't like on the internet, and we sprinkle a little salt into the wounds of those people who do those things. So welcome back to the Pun Show. We're on episode 3. It's week 3 of 2021. I hope it's treating you better. And today we're taking on the Motherlode, baby. We're taking on the white whale. Which is not the last nautical reference that's going to be made during this. We are taking on shipping in fandoms, and we are learning to go down with the ship. Okay, hang on. I know that a lot of you are probably either on one side got your torch and pitchforks out because you're like, oh no, we're not talking about shipping, it's weird, and the other side like, shipping's an important part of fandom, and both sides are kind of correct. So let's talk about that. Let's have a quick discussion, and if you want to talk about it in the comments down below, we will talk about it, and if you can change my mind. So what is shipping, and what is the term shipping in fandom? So it's not, as I believe, putting two characters in a boat for a while. It is actually the idea of putting two characters, fictional or sometimes real people, which is freaking weird, by the way, and putting them in a relationship that you would desire, okay? And this started way back in the 1960s with the original Star Trek with Kirk and Spock, which was known by its ship name of K/S, which has become Slash. And shipping is basically a bastardization of the word relationship and relationshipping people, so shipping. And one of the things that I think people need to learn in the shipping community is to go down with the damn ship, okay? Sometimes, as my good friend Silas Greenback will tell you in the not Knights Black Agents, Blades in the Dark, Red Herrings, maritime law and tradition dictates that a captain always goes down with their ship because that's what they do if they can't guarantee the safe evacuation of everyone on board. And I think this should be applied to the shipping community too, because we need to talk about this, because sometimes shipping gets really unhealthy and just really like venomous and horrible for literally no reason, right? So the most recent example I have of this, and spoilers for Critical Role, and if this has been pre-recorded and some things have changed, I'm sorry, but I pre-recorded this. In Critical Role, Jester Lavore, Laura Bailey's character, everybody's favourite blue tiefling cleric of the Traveller, has had multiple relationships options open to her, even though it's always been heavily hinted at that she would get with Laura's actual real-life husband's character, Ford, and she did that on purpose to like get him to do something that she knew he wasn't very comfortable with, which is role-playing romance. She said it on Talks Marketing and stuff like that. But it came out that a lot of people's characters were beginning to be attracted to Jester because of her positivity and the way she was. But recently, after a event, Ford, for the first time not having defended Jester, kind of realised why he kept doing that and went to her, kissed her, okay? And the world went mad, man. It was insane. Like, so you've got people going, I'm not going to watch Critical Role anymore because Jester got with Ford, and my ships, I didn't ship Jester with Ford, so that's not fair. It's not right. Rah, rah, she should have been with this person. Rah, rah. And the thing is, guys, nobody cares. When you ship someone, even if there's clues and everything about the tension and relationship that those two characters have, right? It is in your head until it is confirmed. Until it is 100% confirmed that your ship exists, it is something you have made up in your head using contextual clues. It is like deduction, okay? Even when we deduce things using evidence, we can sometimes get it wrong, okay? So that is in your head. And yeah, some of the fan art and the fan fiction is actually pretty good, pretty fun, wholesome, and a lot of people don't actually get that triggered by it. But recently, with how shipping has been in the critter community and some other communities as well, such as TV shows, it has been vile, and people have been like sending death threats and this, that, and the other. Like anime fans do it all the time as well. It is ridiculous. These are fictional characters that you've decided go together, sometimes against the complete thing of reason, against the complete logic of reason, and you've went, I want these two to be together, so I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to draw pictures of them together, and I'm going to write fanfiction of them together, and you were wrong. So you know what you should do? You should, if that is the case, just move on. Because you made it up in your head this was about you, and you had no control of the situation. In the Jester example, Laura had decided that that's what she wanted to do, right? And so she made that decision for, we can argue, reasons outside the game, and people might go on about that, but you know what? More power to her. If you want to make Travis uncomfortable, I found it funny. She made that decision, and Travis made that decision, right? And even if you look at it, we don't know that that ship sailed even, because all he did was ask to kiss her. They've not revealed anything to the Mighty Nine that they're a couple. They've not said that they're exclusive or that they're in a relationship. They just kissed once, right? And you know what? That's fine. It doesn't end the world or anything like that. It just is what it is. And I think that the shipping community has to begin to realise that the way they treat creators for doing these things that they don't agree with is not okay. You wouldn't do that to somebody like in a restaurant and send them death threats or something if they didn't like position something how you liked it. You would just say, oh, well, that's it, and I'm not going to come here again, you just leave, or something like that. Or you get a new one, or you support a new thing, right? There is no need to be this like vitriolic and horrible about it because of the fact that it wasn't your ship, right? A good captain knows when to go down the ship. Now is that time. If your ship doesn't take off and doesn't set sail, you need to sit down, either support the one that's going on because you obviously like that character because you ship them with someone, or do something else, okay? Because yeah, everybody secretly ships. We all have people that we want to be together. I had one where I thought in Marvel Comics that actually the relationship between Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider, whatever her terrible name is now, and Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man, was a much more interesting dynamic and relationship than what seems to be the case now. And I don't know if it's a one-off, but her relationship, and she seems to be getting into a relationship with Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and I'm a bit like, but you know what? I don't care that much that I'm going to threaten other creators or anything. I'm just going to go, you know what? Yeah, whatever. I'll read it, and if it's bad, it's bad. I'll just keep going, or maybe even stop buying the book, and that's it. I supported the books where Miles and Gwen crossed over. The bit about the wedding in the future, there was loads of cool stuff like that's been left by the wayside, but I'm not bitter about it. I'm just like, oh well, you know, happens, right? And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to learn to let go, because this vocal minority are making everyone look nuts. They're making everybody look absolutely crazy as we have to like calm them down and like sit them on the step and go, now we've talked about this. When you like don't get what you want, you can't throw a strop, and they're like la 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 la. Like it's ridiculous. And because Critical Role is seen as like the PR like vanguard of D&D at the moment, like Critical Role is almost like the premiere show for D&D. People then assume that about the D&D community, even though it's just some crazy like weirdos. Like, I'm sorry, but that's the case. It's just odd. And then when you go outside of the fandom as well, outside of Critical Role, and you look at shipping in general, you realise that actually there's lots of problematic elements that come with shipping. And everybody's going to be like, well, what's problematic about shipping? They're fictional characters. They're not real. Rah, 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 rah. Well, you can't tell me that racial stereotypes in writing and in video games are bad, and then not say that relationships and like attitudes towards sexuality in fictional places are are not bad. You can't apply the logic in two different cases about the same thing. That makes no sense. If violence in video games is bad and racial stereotyping in video games is bad, then the attitudes towards gender in video games and fictional media must also be bad if they are made to be unhealthy. Okay? So if there's unhealthy amounts of violence in video that make other people violent in real life, but then there's racial stereotypes that need to be tackled in video games and fictional media that aren't okay and need to be tackled properly, we need to do the same about like relationships and perception of relationships and sexuality, because yes, we need more representation from creators to have these relationships in fiction, in TV shows, in comics, stuff like that. But it makes no sense to sit there and create those and make them like paper thin facsimiles and simulacrums of the actual real thing. So a good example of this is in two different shows on Netflix. So a good example of this is in She-Ra. Okay, so She-Ra, Princess of Power, Catra, and I think her name's Adora. I always get her name wrong. But Catra and Adora, right? They were shipped together for a long time because there was a lot of sexual chemistry between the two. They obviously were a bit more than friends, even though they said that they were like best friends and stuff. Like there's that scene where they dance together and Catra's in like a male suit, which is an old kind of stereotypical trope of like lesbian characters and stuff usually wear like male attire in like formal situations, which can be harmful but was used to play that point, right? And if you know the context of She-Ra and the fact that she is a prominent LGBTQ figure, like in terms of her like masculinity and strength and but femininity at the same time for both lesbian and transgender people, you know that then that makes sense and the hints and stuff are there. But you know what? If that hadn't happened, right, I was still wrong if I shipped them together and I just had to let it go. But it happened. Princess Bubblegum and Marceline in Adventure Time, same sort of thing. They had that episode where it explains their relationship together and the fact that they were girlfriends at one point and that Marceline's never really got over it. And that's why they have the amazing song I'm Just Your Problem for Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. But that's hinted at and then confirmed. And once it's confirmed, locked in, that's fine. You can either root for that because that's what you were rooting for, or sit down, shut up, and just enjoy the thing, right? Not send death threats to people. Noelle Stevenson did an amazing job of She-Ra, of building that up properly and making it the nuanced and developed and genuine relationships that we need in terms of sexuality in media, okay? If we don't do that and we make these fake ones, like the one I'm about to show you in a second or talk about in a second, then there's no point. There's no point in having that representation because it's just paper thin, okay? It's not real. We need it to be real. We need it to be right. We need it to be correct and just strong enough to stand on its own. Otherwise, if it's just the fans propping it up with fan art and stuff because they think these two boys or these two girls are cute together, or this boy and this girl are cute together, then it's not real. It's so superficial and shallow that it makes it just not worth the paper it's drawn on and written on, okay? So the example that I want to talk about is another Netflix show by the same sort of people who did She-Ra, and it's Voltron Legendary Defenders, and that is Klance is the ship name, and that's the ship between Keith and Lance, the pilots of the Red and Blue Line respectively. And then, spoiler alert, when Keith becomes the main pilot of Voltron and gets the Black Lion, Lance moves over to the Red Line. Now, Lance is painted and portrayed as a stereotypical straight man, okay? He's heterosexual. I'm sorry if that's going to upset some of you shippers, but he's heterosexual. most of the thing he spends chasing the princess. He's there like, I really want to get with the princess. He even gets with her, and then his pathos at the end of the story is the fact that he loses her, but she's changed him to be a better person, okay? He loved her, like he wanted to be with her, and she was a woman and he was a man. But everybody's like, they're like, oh, we wanted clans to be together because of the fact that they shared lions and stuff like that. No, that's not how this works, okay? Yeah, there's tension between them, but Keith never really showed sexual attraction to anyone, and we had an LGBTQ plus character in Voltron in the form of Shiro. Like, Shiro was openly gay, and I think the way they dealt with Shiro being gay was actually really cool because of the fact that it wasn't like something he announced. It was something that was just worked into a story, and it was just something that was part of him. It wasn't like his defining character that he had, a characteristic that he had to go around shouting. It was like, oh, I think his boyfriend died, and he was like really sad about it. And he was like, I find it really hard to connect with people because I lost my boyfriend. And then everybody's a bit like, oh, Shiro's gay, and like it's just like, oh, okay, and then we move on. Like there's no big issue, and he gets married at the end, and to a new person who he's met, and that relationship is kind of like glanced over because he's not in the Lions anymore, but you see that in a couple of episodes like develop. That's what we need. But if you're just going to tell me that these boys look pretty, so I'm going to make them kiss and do like My Hero Academia fan fiction, then you're damaging the cause because it's just superficial, and then you tear people apart because you don't like it, and then people are not going to give you what you want because it's like, if we do give it to them, it's not going to make them happy, but if we don't give it to them, then they're not going to be happy either. It is just going to like ruin the experience for everyone involved, okay? Like, and if we looked at it, if we applied it to real life, remember, if video games in real life can affect real life with violence, and racist connotations in writing and stuff can affect real life, we have to look at this sexuality thing but through the same lens. You are literally turning around and saying to people that I want you to be gay, like I want you to be straight, because it happens as well with other characters as well. I'm not just going to bash on the people who make characters homosexual, pansexual, anything. I'm going to bash on those people who take established gay couples and couple them off with other people because they don't like that gay couple or something like that. What are you doing? What? That is you literally turning around. I want you to be gay. I want you to be straight. That is like, that sentence, I want you to be straight, is what parents use to justify sending their kids to camps that turn them into different people. Conversion therapy. Like, when families of people who are transgender and they finally come out and say, I feel like I'm a woman stuck in a man's body, or a woman stuck in or a man stuck in a woman's body, they then turn around and go, oh well, those people go, well, I don't want that for you. And it's not their choice, it's not your choice, it's not their choice, it's those people's choice, and that makes sense, and in the terms of the creators, it's their choice. You have no control over that, okay? So just go down with the ship, have some dignity, right? Look at us like as your ship goes down, salute and go, look, it's been a blast, boys, but my thing, and just keep supporting that show, because if you keep supporting that show, that franchise, that movie, what will happen is, hopefully, eventually, that change will come. You will get what you're looking for. And trust me, there are lots of people who want to bring that in. Like, we're seeing it slowly and surely into cartoons like She-Ra and Voltron, right? To things like Modern Family, soap operas. We are beginning to make that turn. But if you're going to resist that turn because it's not exactly what you want, then people are going to backpedal because they're like, oh, well, we're upsetting everybody and people are threatening to boycott us. And you're literally harming the cause and you're making everyone look crazy. So stop doing that, right? If your ship doesn't set sail, go down with it nicely, politely, preferably quietly, right? And then let's just keep talking about the show together. Let's keep talking about the franchise together. Let's keep these things that we love going. Because at the moment, shipping, even though it's only a small subsection, and remember in my last video I talked about like subtweeting and stuff, and the small subsection and the small community being villainized because of that one person who does something. It's the same here. We look like cringy, terrible people on the internet. They're like, oh well, they don't get what they want, so they're going to strop. And it's not. We don't want that. All right. We want representation. We want justice, fairness, equality. But if you're not going to support equality in all its forms and only want it on your terms, then we're going to have a problem, because equality for everybody is for everybody. Okay? Like, it has to be that way. So I don't care if you're going to come at me with torches and pitchforks and be like, well, I ship and I write fan fiction. The fan fiction and the fan art, some of it's amazing, and I'm not telling you to delete that or whatever. Once your ship has not set sail, like, you made that, and like that showed your support of that, and unfortunately it didn't happen. Like, your talent is still valid and valuable and works, but just because you did that and you did that off your own back does not mean that you are owed anything or entitled to anything. I hope that makes sense. So it's been the Pun Show, episode 3 of All Out ADDSAULT, where we have taken an all-out attack against those things we hate on the internet and added salt to the wounds of those people who do them. And I hope that you understand what I'm coming on to here. And if you want to talk to me about it, because I'm not going to stay angry about it, you can talk to me in the comments below. Try and change my mind. Change my mind. If you can do that, I'd love that. I'd love someone to turn around to me and go, right, you didn't consider this though. And I'll go, cool, that's awesome. Because even though these are kind of ranty and like, rah, I'm trying to encourage discussion and things to make people think about how they act in these spaces. Because at the moment, wow, it is getting unreal. And especially with how things are going with Wizards at the moment, and representation and diversity in the tabletop RPG space being front run by the people involved. When those same people get in the way of everybody else, it's gonna cause issues and havoc and all sorts. But yeah, I hope whoever you are, wherever you are, and whenever you are safe, you are happy. 2021 is treating you better than 2020, and that you're just having a good time and making some memories with your friends. Peace out. I've been Adderson, and this has been All Out ADDSAULT.